You know that feeling when you try to beat a defender, but no matter what you do, you just can't get past them? It feels frustrating. Like everyone else makes it look easy, but for you, 1v1s are just constant failure, and it's killing your confidence. But what if I told you you're supposed to have the advantage in a 1v1? You just haven't been taught how to use it. I know this works because it was this advantage that took me from constantly losing the ball to catching the eyes of scouts, where I earned a full scholarship just to play football for my university. So in this video, I'll show you exactly why attackers have the upper hand in 1v1s and give you 4 simple tips you can start using today to finally win those battles on the pitch. Alright, so what exactly is this advantage I've been talking about? To really understand it, picture this. Imagine you and your friend are racing and you're exactly the same speed. But here's the catch. You get to start whenever you want, and your friend can only start after they see you move. Sounds unfair, right? Even with equal speed, you're always going to win because you control when the race begins. That's exactly what happens in a 1v1. As the attacker, only you know your next move. The defender has to wait, watch, and then react. That gives you a built-in advantage. And once you learn how to use it, beating defenders become easy. So what's the first step to actually using this advantage in a 1v1? To answer that, let's change perspectives for a second and think like a defender. Growing up, I played sweeper and eventually moved into center mid. When I think back to what made defending easier, one thing stood out: going up against a player with a poor first touch. The moment they lost even a little bit of control, that was my cue to step in. I didn't even have to deal with the 1v1. I'd win the ball before it ever started. But when a player had a clean first touch, that's when defending became tough. I'd hesitate, I'd wait, because now they were in control, and I was just reacting. That was when the advantage we just talked about really became clear to me. So how can you make sure you're that player with a clean first touch? Well, here's 2 simple habits that can help. The first thing is always move into space to receive the ball. Even a few extra steps of separation make all the difference. Second, perform your critical scan, that last look while the ball is traveling to you. If you only look once, make it this one. It gives you a mental picture of what's around you so you can focus entirely on your first touch. These 2 habits give you the split seconds you need to stay in control and to stay one step ahead. Sticking to the theme of seeing things from a defender's point of view, the next thing that always made my job harder was a player that didn't just stand still. They moved with the ball. And I don't mean running away from pressure or straight down the line. I mean dribbling directly at you with both speed and control. That kind of movement creates 2 problems for defenders. First, it isolates them. Driving forward quickly makes it harder for other defenders to help or double team you because they're still catching up. Second, it forces your defender to backpedal while you're coming at them at full pace. And trust me, it's much harder to move backwards than it is to explode forward. So remember, after you take your first touch, don't be static. Move with the ball. This puts defenders on their heels and adds pressure, because now they're not just guessing your next move. They're doing it while scrambling to keep balance and positioning. And that's exactly what you want. Up to this point, you've kept your advantage with a clean first touch, and you've put pressure on your defender by driving at them. Now it's time to make them commit. And the way you do that is through deception. But here's where a lot of players go wrong. They try to do too much. We've all seen YouTube videos titled something like 20 best skills to destroy any defender. And while those moves can work if done perfectly, they're often way too complicated to pull off in a match. In my opinion, what actually works is sticking to simple, repeatable fakes. Because the truth is, you don't need flashy tricks to beat defenders. What really works under pressure are reliable moves. A shoulder drop, a step out, even a head fake. These kinds of fakes get defenders leaning the wrong way, and they set you up perfectly in using the next step to fully using your advantage. We've now made it to what I think is the most crucial part to winning your next 1v1, committing to the beat. Here's what that means. Once you've sent your defender the wrong way, or even just got them to hesitate, you have to explode. Change direction with a burst of speed. This moment is what separates almost getting past to actually blowing past your defender. So how do you train this? Start with drills that force you to change direction at a high speed. My go-to, suicides. They teach your body to stop, start, and then explode. Then take it up a level. Add a ball. Do the same movement, but now focus on pushing off hard, staying balanced, and accelerating, all while staying in control of the ball. Drills like this is what helped me from getting stuck to eventually gliding past defenders. And if you fully want to use your attacker's advantage, this is the moment you break through. You probably thought we were done, but I got one final bonus tip that I think you need to hear. And honestly, if you've made it this far, I genuinely appreciate you sticking around and supporting my channel. Alright, everything we've talked about so far has been about how to use your attacker's advantage to win 1v1s. But just as important is knowing when to use it. One of the biggest things that separate top players from average ones is decision making. Knowing when to take on a defender and move the ball. Let me show you what I mean. In this clip, I had a teammate calling for the pass, but I knew if I beat my defender, I was through on goal. So I went for it and scored. But in this next moment, I received the ball in the middle of the pitch. I had the option to take the defender on again, but instead, I played it to my teammate running down the wing, and that led to a goal too. Here's the point. You don't always need to beat your defender to make an impact. Sometimes your smartest move is knowing when to not go into the 1v1. And when you combine that kind of smart decision making with the tips we covered, that's when you truly become the kind of player defenders fear.